Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk with Ben podcast. Hope you had an amazing week. I hope you're ready to buckle in for one last episode of the podcast here in Hungary, the third part of the three-part journey series that I started a few weeks ago. And if you're new, my name is Ben, and this is my podcast where I talk about life, I talk about ministry, I talk about my time here in Hungary, and I really just want you to feel some encouragement, maybe kind of see on the other side of what ministry is like and see how maybe you can use your own life, your own job, and your own talents for God's glory. And so I hope that you'll take this time to listen and to be encouraged. Stick with me once I get back to the States as well, as I continue the podcast over there. So like I said, this is the last episode before I travel back. Before I head back to Hungary. Obviously, there is one more week where I am here in Hungary, but because I leave on Friday the 19th, next Friday, very early in the morning, it's gonna be really challenging just to like get the things I need to get done. And the same with like Friday recaps. Like tomorrow's recap will be the last recap while I'm here in Hungary. And as you can probably tell, Ben, you said you're going to be away for 2 weeks last episode. I'm just recording this right before I leave World of Life for the last time. It was just going to be a lot easier to record stuff here while I still have everything set up. And I think the only thing that won't be recorded will be the Friday recap you'll watch tomorrow, which I'll be doing the day of probably. But yeah, so it's definitely surreal, and this is what this episode is going to be about. Is I think applying what I've learned and learning how to grow. Really, I've titled this part 3 as applying and growing, and again, I'm going to say some final things at the end. I'm sorry if I get emotional in this episode. It's a lot of things have hit me the last 24 hours as I'm recording this. It's been a crazy, like having to change the way I'm going to be happening, what things are happening. I guess it kind of caps off a crazy year. I guess in some sense I wouldn't have it any other way if you put it that way. But yeah, so this episode is going to be just talking about how I'm going to apply from those lessons that we talked about last week, and how these things I'm going to apply not just to my ministry, but to life in marriage and in life in general. There's a lot of things that I think we all struggle with, and it's important to learn from the tough things, the good things, and apply it, because I think we're always growing. And I think our job is to grow in our walk with Christ. And so that's I think the first thing. So there's kind of like two sections, and one is more growing personally in my walk, and then the second part is more about ministry. So the first part of continuing to grow, right? Like continuing to live for Christ, but also continue to push myself to do better, to be better, challenging not just my fiance, but also challenging my friends, my family, like being that person that can be that help and to be that guide. But I think what I really want to focus on is the idea of like, just because I'm leaving here and just because I've grown over the last 12 months, right? Or just because I've learned different things over the last 12 months, it doesn't mean it stops here. Like it doesn't just disappear, or it doesn't just, randomly just, happen or affect my life just here. It's going to affect my life as long as I allow it. And I think I've had the issue in the past of either when I've come home from Hungary in the past, or when I came home from college for a semester, everything was at a really high, right? Everything was amazing and really cool, and it was encouraging. And then when I went away from it and I was away from the place that really helped me grow, I went into a decline. And that's something that for sure over these next few months, as I'm away from Hungary, as I'm away from, my fiance, as I'm away from my friends here, like it's going to be a challenge. And yes, I'll have my family and I'll have my friends in the States, but it's still like, everything was so amazing here and I was growing and things were challenging me. And now to go back and to really have to push myself to keep doing what I've been doing here. Um, and that's something that's challenging, right? Like, I think it's easy to say that we're going to do these things. And I know I've always struggled with, like, I would always say, like, I'm going to do this, this, or this. But in reality, I need to make sure that I'm not just doing these things or saying that I'm going to do these things, but actually doing these things. And that's one of the biggest challenges that I'm going to face going back to America and spending time with my family for a couple months, working and things like that. Like, I can't change the same mentality that I have here. Um, that is one of the biggest things. I talked about it last week, like growing the way I did and being challenged the way I did opened the doors for so many different things in ministry and realizing it's not just part of my life, right? Or the same thing with growing. Like, it's not just one way that you grow, it's in multiple facets of your life. And I need to continue that, whether I'm in a workplace, whether I'm at home with my family, whether I'm at church. Like, every part of my life needs to have this growing change, this idea of being closer to Christ and pushing myself to be closer to Christ. And I think on top of that, I want to continue to apply these new things that I've learned. So the idea of making sure that I'm focusing on the little things and the big things, like making sure that I'm doing ministry at church, but then at the same time, when I come home or when I'm with my coworkers or with other friends, non-Christian friends, and in every aspect of that, I'm grabbing different things and saying, this is how I need to live, and this is how I need to push people around me towards Christ. Now, it's going to be a challenge. I tell people this all the time. Every time I leave Hungary, it's always been hard because my heart is always here. And I'll probably say this more in the final thoughts, but it's going to be more of a challenge when you've grown so much and you want to keep that same feeling, and to then go back to another culture, to a place that it's not what you've been living in for a year. Um, I tell people all the time, like, I guess whenever I FaceTime people, they're always like, well, Ben, like, you're going to, like, you'll be fine. You're an American. You'll get used to it. And yeah, but I've been away from home for a year. I've had interactions with Americans here, but we all are living in a different culture in a different part of the world. Um, we're eating different foods, we're having conversations with people from different cultures. And then to go back to my little West Liberty, where 95% of people have been there. Maybe not 95%, maybe 80% of the people either grew up there or have family that have lived there or coming back to live there. And it's a different, I definitely have a different, I guess, view on life now. Like, I'm not I feel so much more like appreciative of the things that I've taken for granted. That's one thing I didn't really talk about in the lessons, and this kind of goes with growing, is like to stop just being so selfish and thinking that everything is just like so hard when I look around and I see people that are in a worse position than I grew up in. And I never grew up in, a rich family or anything, but life was still a lot better than a lot of people around this world and in this country right now. And that's something that I want to apply, and I really want to grow in, that is to encourage other people to see beyond just what you think is hard or what you think is right or what you think is tough in your life. Because I've always had this saying that my goal in life is always every day to make someone smile and to be goofy if I need to be, but really just to make that person have a day. But I always used to use it as like, oh, because my day, even if my day's bad, I want to do this. But that shouldn't be the motive. The motive should be every single day, like encouraging people to live for Christ and just making people smile. One of my favorite things about camp is like being able to make kids smile, whether that's me being an idiot on the basketball court or saying some joke or even just being me. Like, that to me is an important aspect of growing in Christ, is be willing to admit when even things you think you're doing good are somewhat maybe selfish in the sense. Um, so yeah, I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to develop my walk with Christ. I wanted to continue to using these different things I've learned um, into my everyday life when I'm back in the States, and then the same when I come back to Hungary, um, and when I get married. I'm sure those things are all going to be the same, but change in different ways. And then the second main thing of applying and growing is ministry doesn't just stop when I go back to the States or when I even come back here in 5 months. Like ministry is always moving. Ministry is always it's always changing. Um, we have to look at ministry as not just a choice or ministry just as a job, but ministry should be a lifestyle. And I've talked about this before, and I think even more of being here as a missionary, I've realized that I think a lot of even missionaries can get stuck in the fact that that's their job, but in reality, it is your ministry is your life. Like every time you walk to the store, that should be your ministry. You should be willing to have a conversation with somebody about the gospel every single day. And I've struggled with that. And I've made that not as much of a lifestyle because I've been nervous about how people will react or what people would say. Friends, we are living in a fallen world, in a world that is crumbling fast, in a world where a pandemic has basically run rancid all over the world for a year, where people are saying things and doing things to others that probably aren't the right thing to do, and so many other things that truly affect our culture, but not just our culture, our walk with Christ. Too many of us Christians are getting sucked into this culture that we live in, no matter what country you're from. We have to, last Sunday, our campus pastor talked about being a fake Christian. And I feel that's so true. So many fake Christians that are saying, well, I'm living out my ministry at church, at events when people are looking at me, or on my Instagram page. But are you living that out when no one's watching? Are you living out your ministry of your life when no one is putting the camera on you or no one has their eyes on you? Because when you're walking down the street and that homeless man or that young kid that is just walking with his family, they look at you. What do they see? Do they see a person that is greedy, that is ignoring the world, that is caring more about the earthly desires, their outlook on their outside look to everyone else? Or can they see the heart of someone that really cares? Now, I'm not trying to be here and judge different people and say different things, but we all have struggled with that. I personally have struggled with that. So many times where I want to like do stuff that's cool. I wanted to do different things that were cool because it would make me look cool to other people. But in reality, who cares? My my friend in college used to always say that, he does what he loves because he knows it honors God, and that he doesn't really care what people think because they're not going to spend the rest of their life with him. And he's so true. We can try to fulfill this like desire that we have, this longing we have to be like the coolest person in the world, to be these rich millionaires, to be these movie stars, these professional athletes, these celebrities, as we call it. But that's never going to answer what truly we need, and that is to living for the gospel every single day of our lives. And that's my prayer for myself and for people around me, that we would stop trying to be this popular person. Instead, sometimes being the most unpopular is the right thing to live for Christ. I would rather be the most unpopular person in the world and to have my faith in Christ than to be so popular that I lose the meaning of what it means to live for Christ. And I hope that's what you think too. And if you don't, talk to me. I'd love to share with you my experience and my stories of my struggles with that. I think on top of that, it's not going to be easy. There's one thing I've noticed in probably the last year and a half, 2 years, as I've really focused more on my faith, is that life has gotten hard in many different aspects. I've always said it's easier to do the things that aren't it's easier to do the things that God is not opening the doors for, right? It's easier to choose your own way, the own path. But yet it's so hard to make the decision to go through those doors. That might mean, hey, I'm not making a lot of money. Hey, I'm not doing this or that. I became a missionary because I wanted to serve Christ. And I'm now going to be a teacher because I love the opportunity to live out my faith in the classroom. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Getting married to my best friend, love of my life, doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It's going to be challenges in more ways than we can probably count right now. But we're not meant to do these things on our own. We're not meant to live life on our own. We're not meant to do these kind of things because God is always there. He's always walking beside us. And I pray that that's what we can do on a daily basis, is saying, God, this is my life. I want to live for you. Like, I don't care how challenging it gets. I don't care how hard it gets. I'm going to do everything I can to live for you every single day. And I hope that's true. And I pray that's true. I really do. Because we need more people that are living for Christ than living for themselves. And that's what I'm always scared of in this new Christian culture that we live in. We need more Christians that are based and founded on the God's word and willing to be willing to sacrifice different things for that, whether that's your job or whatever it might be. I really do. So those are the two ways that I feel like I kind of wanted to imply and grow in. Those are the kind of two focus areas. Again, I could spend hours and hours on this, and if you want to talk about it, you can with me. But I wanted to finish up today's episode with just some final thoughts, some closing remarks over the past year of doing ministry. And I'll tell you this, I'm going to miss this place. Not just Word of Life, but Hungry. This is home for me. Yes, I'll have my family where my family's at. I'll have, these kind of things, right? And I'll always be from West Liberty, Ohio, but this is home for me. Ministry here is still going to be here. Even though I won't be working with Word of Life, my ministry of what I love to do is still going to be here. My job's going to be here. My future wife is here. A ton of my friends are here. It's just like anytime you leave home, it's hard to say goodbye. But this is not goodbye for me. This is just see you really soon. As many of you know, I'm coming back in about 5 months? A little less than 5 months, 4 months or so. And it's going to be a challenge to be away. It's going to be hard to be away from the love of my life, my best friend. Really hard. It's always been hard to leave Hungary. I mean, every year it's always tough for my dad and I to leave. This year just seems to hit a little different. Yes, because of Rebecca, but also just because of the friends I've made, the ministry that I have here, the future that is here for me, and the amazing things that are going to come with it. But at the same time, it's really challenging to leave and to get on that plane. And as you know, the last, I'm recording this obviously last week as you're listening to this, but it was right when they announced the new lockdown things, and it really changed everything. I had to leave Word of Life Hungary itself about 4 days earlier than I was going to, which means I had to say my goodbyes in one day, because most of the missionaries go home, or people that work here go home on the weekends. And so Friday I had to say a lot of my goodbyes, and it's been hard. It's been hard, but it's been more bittersweet because some of them I haven't really gotten to spend the time that I wanted to with them because of COVID and the restrictions all year, the challenges we faced, those looking out for their health. And it's been definitely a challenge to say goodbye. Some of my really, really good friends are here. Um, and and this ministry that I've been able to do. And some might say, Ben, it's been some people here have been saying you didn't get to experience an actual year at We're Life Hungry. And I always counter with, but yes, I did, because this is what God wanted me to experience. I've been able to help out in ways that no one really here could do before. I've been able to serve in ways that maybe no one was going to be able to because maybe their experience or things like that. I've been able to use the ministry of video and of audio and everything that I love to do and use that on a daily basis. I've been finishing up a couple projects, and it's going to be different over these next few months of not really doing this on a daily basis. But if I can give anybody some advice on doing what you love and being where you love, is don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do something that you love or you want to do. There was a lot of people that didn't understand why I came over here, didn't understand why I wanted to serve here, hadn't even had a job out of college. But I can tell you it's the best decision of my life. The things I've learned, I couldn't even capture in the the last 3 episodes here. But I am so blessed beyond measure of my time here and the things that I've learned. I can't put into words what this year has meant to me, even in the challenges that everyone around the world has faced. Without COVID, I don't meet my fiance. I don't get to do the job that I'm currently am doing. I don't even get to maybe even have the opportunity to meet some of these other people. Some people have become really good friends because if COVID doesn't happen, who knows what happens? I say all this because many years ago in high school, I was told that I wouldn't amount to anything. I wasn't worth it. I don't have the skills to make it in the real world. Well, you all, if you're somehow listening, you all know that you are wrong. Because a person's worth, a person's basis isn't based on what people think or what people's opinions are. It's based on what God thinks. It's based on hard work and just loving what you do and putting your dreams forward. So anyone out there that doubts their dreams and doubts they can do something, look at me. Almost 25 years old, and I'm getting to do the thing that I love the most, and that is just serving Christ through media. I get to travel the world. I met the love of my life. So if there's any final words of my time here in Hungary, it's that it's been the best year of my life. Hands down. So for all of you that have walked with me, for all of you that have prayed for me and have challenged me, I can't put into words what you've meant for me. It's been a great year, and I am more than blessed to be able to call all of you friends and ministry partners, and I hope we can all have meals here soon together. I am always available to come talk, and it's been a great year. So with that, I just want to finish up one last time before I head back. So again, there will be no episode next week as I'm getting ready to fly out, but the following week there will be an episode. I believe that's like March 25th, I think, is when the next episode will come out. So stay tuned for that. But once again, if you love these episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, whatever you do on those things, and make sure it's there so you can listen to it in the car or wherever you want to listen to it. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, that thumbs up button, the like button, whatever, one of those buttons. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and that will allow you to see all these episodes. It will allow you to see all of my other videos as well. my Friday recaps and everything like that. So once again, I just want to say thank you so much. And remember this, that we serve an amazing God, that he is faithful. We can trust him. And as always, we'll talk next time.